Okay, it's 2 p.m. here in the UK, so I think we should get started. Welcome to our Vevox June release, and this is our What's New and What's Next webinar. My name is Dermot from the Customer Success team, and with me today is Matt, who is the Product Manager for Vevox. So what we're going to be doing here today is taking you through our upcoming release of Vevox, which is happening next Wednesday, the 19th of June. And Matt's going to be taking you through those updates and actually doing a practical session showing some of the changes that are going to be implemented soon, so you can get an advanced look at those. Hopefully everybody can see our screen and they can see the joining instructions here. We're going to be using Vevox throughout the session. We'd like you to ask your questions of us during the session, and we're going to be asking you a couple of polls as well. But also we really want your feedback, so send in anything you'd like to see in Vevox going forward, but also this is a great opportunity to ask Matt some questions about what's happening. So please join via vevox.app or one of the native apps and enter the meeting ID, which is 167603161. Now, I've got a bit of a disparity between how many people we've got on the GoToWebinar and how many people have joined Vevox, so please do get onto the app so that you can take part with us. Okay, to have a little look at the agenda. As always, a very simple agenda. We'll go through what's new in the upcoming release, what's next over the next few releases, and then a bit of time for Q&A. But I just want to reiterate that the changes that Matt's going to be talking about today have not gone live yet. They are happening on Wednesday, the 19th of June, so that's next week. And you'll see those will be in from the early hours of the morning. So last time I'm going to say it, please get onto vevox.app. The ID is 167603161. Okay, and just before we hand over to Matt, I just want to ask a poll of all of you today. So can you just let us know if this is your first What's New and What's Next webinar? So yes, no, you've attended one before, or no, you've actually attended a few, just so we can gauge the experience of these sessions with our audience today. Okay, and I think we can stop it there. It's probably quite an experienced crowd, as all the votes came in quite quickly. Okay, and I was wrong there, so that's great. Really interesting to see that over half of you are new, and good to see almost a quarter have attended quite a few. So those new people, brilliant, welcome to these sessions. It's really great to have you on, and a great opportunity for you to ask some questions. Okay, well I think it's about time to hand over to Matt.
Thanks, Dermot. So we've got quite a few things to get through today, so I'm just going to give a quick overview of what we'll be discussing. First off, there's quite a noticeable change coming to the meetings list user interface. We have a new question type, the numeric poll. We also have our presentation view loses its beta tag, so we'll take a quick look at that. We have a couple of things specifically related to perhaps a smaller percentage of you in the Canvas LTI for our education users and Dashboard SSO, which is a feature available for our enterprise and institution customers. We have a quick statement to make about ISO certification, and then, as always, towards the end, we'll have our Q&A and a little bit about the future. So, as Dermot said, our update is happening next week on the 19th of June. So the features I will be showing here won't be coming to your dashboard until then. And given that, we're also in a test environment here. So any meeting IDs you do see on screen, you won't actually be able to join and participate in yourself. So let's take a quick look at the dashboard changes. Here we are looking at the new meetings list. Now, hopefully there's some immediately noticeable differences here. We can see, obviously, each meeting that I'm looking at on my list now is represented by a card. You can see at the top of the card here, we've got the meeting name and the meeting ID. We can see, obviously, the images on the card are taken from the customizable image that you can set within the meeting itself. Some of the cards have some slightly different information on, so let's just take a quick look at that. We can see this first one up here is in the started state, so this is my currently active meeting. We've also got a few snippets of information. So the length of time it's been started for. So I started this meeting 3 hours ago. We've got a bit of details there about the number of participants that have joined, the number of questions that have come in, and the number of likes we've had as well. As it's in the started state, and it is my active meeting, we can see one of the action buttons down here is to present. So that will take me straight into the sort of presentation view if I want to go directly there. Otherwise, I can just click to view the meeting as normal and make any edits. If we just take a look down at this one here that I'm just hovering over now, slightly different one. So this is in the stopped state, and it's telling me how long ago I stopped it. Again, the similar information about participants. And again, here we can see, obviously it is in the stopped state. It's got some results in there. So we've got an action button here that will take you directly in to view the report of that meeting. Now, just lastly, if I move on to this one over in the top corner here, this is a meeting that hasn't been run yet. So what we're getting here is just a further preview of some of the informational text I've put up for the info screen for this one. And again, as this is a meeting that's not been run, we don't have any results in, we've got an action button here prompting you to invite participants. So what that does is generates an email with some joining instructions for how your participants can join that meeting. Now, if any of you do still prefer the list view that we've got, we've still retained that. So we can see there's an icon here to switch between, so we've got the card grid view or the list view here. And if I just go there, again, we've just got our meetings listed out here with all the same information that you can see on the cards. The only slight difference we've got here is we can actually sort the meetings by the headed columns here. So for example, if I just wanted a quick look at which of my meetings have had the most number of participants in, I can just do a quick sort by that and have a little look for some data there. We have the ability at the side here just to perform some sort of bulk delete actions. So I can select as many as I want, or perhaps all of them, and I can delete all my meetings in one go if I so wish. I don't at the moment, so I'm going to hit no there. And let's just remove that context menu. If I just quickly go back here into the card view, the next thing I just wanted to touch on quickly was the search function. So we've got our sort of normal search function, which is reasonably straightforward. Let's do a quick search for training. So we can see what that's doing there is searching for the word training in the name of any of the meetings I've got. Now, one new feature we've brought in here with this list, and this becomes a bit more relevant when we get a lot of meetings in our dashboard, and that is the ability to assign labels. So if I click into this search or filter box, we can see here some pre-assigned labels that I've got. So if I click, for example, on the town hall meeting, we can see here all the labels, all the meetings I've assigned with the town hall label, so I can group them for quick and easy sort of search or filtering access. What I will just quickly do is go in and add a new label just to show you how that works. You can see on the card here, we have the sort of more information indicator. When I click on that, I can go in and edit. I can see I already actually have a label assigned to that. Let's just remove that one and reassign it again. So this is a meeting that obviously I did a couple of weeks ago. I haven't actually done anything with it yet. I haven't reviewed my data or even removed or deleted it. So if I were to go in there, I can add a label just as a reminder for myself that I want to review it, and it sticks that on there, and I can save that, and then we can see at the top here, I can filter by that label reviewed. So that's just a quick look at our labeling feature. Hopefully, you know, if you do start to get lots of meetings in your dashboard, that proves a good way to categorize some of them for your organization. In the interests of time, I'm going to move away from the new dashboard stuff now and take a little look at our numeric poll question. So I'm just going to go into this meeting here. And as you can see, I've actually pre-populated, just to save on time, some meetings in here. So, some questions in here. So I'm just going to select this first one and go to edit so we can just see some of the options available. Now, as normal, we've got the title of the question across the top here, and we can see I've selected it as to be a numeric one. Now, one of the things we get asked a lot about is the ability to do an NPS style question. For those of you who are not in the know, NPS stands for Net Promoter Score. It's a common style of question used to assess customer service or experience. And this is the rough format of one of those questions. Now you can see, obviously, I can set minimum and maximum values for the scale. So this is restricting the possible inputs your participants can submit. Here I've got a range of 0 to 10. We can support inputs with decimal places, so up to 2 decimal places if you want, but for this example, we don't need that. And we'd also have the ability to set a correct answer if we'd like as well, and we can put the correct answer in here. One extra thing with the correct answer, we've got an optional feature to specify a margin of error. And what this means is we can choose to give a bit of leeway to our participants. So, if their answer's within a range of the correct one, we can also class it as being correct if you would like to do that as well. I'm just going to uncheck that because we don't want to put a correct answer on this one. So we will go through some of these questions in just a moment. And again, as I said earlier, we're in a test environment, so you won't be able to participate yourselves. But I'm just going to present this as I would in a meeting environment to your participants so you can see how it works. Now, as we are going to present this, now is probably a good time just to touch upon the removal of the beta tag from our presentation view. Now, previously, you may recall the presentation view launcher was situated at the top of the screen here with its beta tag assigned to it. So now we call it out here with a button on the side menu to present. So when I hit the button to present, we just get given a couple of options to clarify how you actually want to present this to your audience. Now, firstly, on the left here, you can see we've got the option just to open the presentation view in a new tab. This is the one that I'm going to be doing today. As I'm going to be presenting it from this screen that I'm also working on right now. But just before I do that, however, I'll quickly show you what the other options are. So over here, we've got share to another device. So this is for when you might want to run your presentation from a different device or screen. So if I press that, we get 2 further options. Firstly, it's just this one here, if I want to display and manage it from another computer. This is just a straight link, which I can click to copy. Now, once I've copied that, it's copied it onto my computer clipboard. I can paste that into an email or using whatever chat app you might use in your workplace to send it through to the computer you wish to open it on. The second option is for a more restricted version of the presentation view. So let's say, for example, you want to share it with another person or to another computer, but you don't actually want to give them control over your meeting. So this link provides a locked down version of the presentation view. So it won't allow people to open and close polls when they're looking at it. It won't allow them to hide questions from the Q&A board. So you can still retain the ability to drive the meeting from your computer without the fear that somebody else on the other machine will be making changes to it as well. Now, just a quick note on this link here is a publicly available link. So, publicly shareable link. So anybody who does have that link will be able to view the meeting. And for this reason, we've just also included the optional feature which allows you to set a password to this as well. So anybody who's given the link will also have to enter in the password in order to access it. So let's just go back now and open my presentation view in a new tab. So here we are in my test meeting. Now, just very quickly, if you bear with me, what I will do here, I'll also bring in an app onto the screen so you can see how it will look in the app as well. as on the dashboard. Okay, and let's open up my first poll, which was the one that we did a moment ago. So I'm just going to send a response in on my app here. Let's put in number 7 and hit send. And we have a few other devices here that we're just going to put some responses in. So we can see, obviously, I'm looking at real-time results, so the chart updates as I enter those results in, or those responses in, sorry. I can see Dermot's just playing around, changing bytes there. So yeah, looking at the responses come in, we can see on the x-axis across the bottom, obviously we've got the scale, and then on the y-axis up the top, we've on the side, we've got the number of responses. One thing you can do here, if you want to get a little bit interactive, you can move your mouse over and focus in a little bit more on these dots to see how many responses were actually said for that vote. So particularly if you're getting to large scales or large audiences, you might want to hover over that to get a more accurate reading. Let me just close that poll. So on the device, the participant device, we get a slightly stripped down view, just showing the spread of the responses. We also get to see which response I voted for, so the participant can see where they fit in relation to the spread of their peers' responses. So just to save on time a little bit, what I've done is I've pre-populated a couple of other examples of that question. So let me just bring up another one here. So this is using a larger scale. So we're asking for a percentage. So that's on a 0 to 100 scale. And we've also set a correct answer to this one. So the question being, what % of the Earth is covered in water? Now we can see all the responses that have been submitted here. Now you might notice, obviously looking at the scale at the bottom, it's starting only at 48 and just going up to 80. Now what we're doing there is we're omitting any responses that have below the lowest response and above the highest response, just so we can focus in on actually where the data in the chart is, rather than showing all the 0 results as well. And another thing you can do here as well, if you mouse over onto the chart, you can see my cursor turns into a magnifying glass, so we can actually zoom in on where the main bulk of the results are, if we want to actually just take a little further look into those. And I can click again just to zoom out to my normal view. I'll bring in the correct answer now as well. So if I just display the correct answer, we can see that's a shaded area just showing where the correct answer is. And we can see here, obviously, 3 people got that correct. And now, if I just move on to the last example I've got. So this one's, again, ever so slightly different. This is using a much smaller scale. This is only going from 0 to 1. However, this time I've introduced decimal places. So the question here being, how many euros are there in $1 US? Now, the difference, again, like the last question, we've got a clump of responses here. If I want to focus in on those, I can just zoom in a little bit and zoom back out again. And now this time, when I show the correct answer, we can see the shaded area appears. Obviously, it's a lot larger this time. So we've got the correct answer at the top here, which is 0.89. However, the shaded area is bringing in this margin of error. So the correct answer is 0.89. I gave a margin of error of 0.03. So answers that fall within this range will be classed as correct when we generate the data report. So that covers most of the points on the numeric question. The last thing I just wanted to mention there is that this question type is both available as a live poll or contained within one of the self-paced surveys. So now if we just come back to, touch upon a couple of the other things. So obviously I mentioned in the agenda there the LTI. So that's we've got an LTI integration with the Canvas VLE at the moment. So that's for our sort of education audience out there. We have a few universities working with that at the moment. If you are interested in getting access to it for your university, then please do get in touch with us. As I said, at present, it's only available through the Canvas VLE, but we're also looking now at Blackboard and Moodle. So if you use any of these and you want to get early access and a discussion about it, then please do get in touch. And the other thing I wanted to mention was about SSO for our dashboard. So we're now able to offer single sign-on for our larger enterprise customers. And what this does is it links in with your corporate authentication server. So no need to sign up or even invite colleagues at your company to join your Vevox account anymore. They can just have instant access using their own already established sort of corporate credentials. And again, if anybody out there is interested in more information about this or using it, please do get in touch with us. One other small thing, just to bring in, as we're talking about the sort of logging in and sign up, we now have the ability for email domain recognition in signups. So what this allows us to do is, you know, if somebody from your company tries to sign up for an account, we can, at your discretion, of course, we can choose to recognize their email extension. So when they do sign up, we can notify them, your company already has an account, you don't need to create a new one, you can be added to that. And there's various options around that as to whether you want to actually automatically let them join or approve it first. So just another small thing there as well. Now, I'm just going to hand back to Dermot now for a little note on ISO.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I've got to get this right, so I'm going to read it from a document here to make no mistakes. So, Augur Technologies Limited, of which Vevox is a product, takes threats to the availability, integrity, and confidentiality of our clients' information very seriously. As such, an independent auditor has verified that Augur Technologies is an ISO 27001 certified provider whose information security management system has received third-party accreditation from the International Standards Organization. Now, this certification demonstrates our continued commitment to information security at every level and ensures you that the security of your data and information has been addressed, implemented, and properly controlled in all areas of our organization. So something that is really important to us, and we take these processes and procedures very seriously with every employee around our business.
Yeah, and I think, for anybody out there who is obviously familiar with ISO, that's a great achievement for us, and we're very sort of pleased about that.
Absolutely.
Now, how are we doing for time? Okay, I will just, slightly conscious of the time, I'll briefly mention a few of the things that are in the pipeline that we're looking at and working on. Now, obviously, we discussed the presentation view losing its beta tag. We're continuing to focus on the theme of the presenter experience. So whilst that has come out of beta, we will still be releasing gradual and continual updates to offer a bit more versatility with that. And linked into that as well, and hopefully music to many ears out there, we're pleased to say that we are also now focusing on making an add-in, a PowerPoint add-in compatible with Mac. Now, it will be inherently different to the current PowerPoint add-in we have on Windows machines, but it will more be based around that presentation view that we've just seen, and it will give you the ability to use Vevox through PowerPoint, whether you're on a Mac or a Windows-based machine.
Just to make a point on that, we've heavily talked about the Mac side of things, but there are quite a few customers of ours that don't install our current PowerPoint add-in, and so those people will be able to use this particular add-in going forward, no matter what their platform is.
Yep. And just another thing as well to mention, we've been getting a lot of feedback as well about our profanity filters and people wanting a little bit more versatility around the profanity filter. So we are looking at that and some sort of admin features around that to be able to potentially toggle the profanity filter on or off, or even specify your own words or remove and add words to that profanity list just for your account. So I think probably looking at the time, now's a good time to head over to the Q&A. So, Dermot, how are we looking on Q&A?
We're looking very good. I think we're going to use our time up with some of these questions. So I'm just going to go with from the top of the most liked ones. That works for you, Matt. So Adam Warren, good friend to Vevox, has said, well, it's more of a statement here, to display another device is an unexpected bonus feature. So I think that's really great for us. It's nice that people are surprised and pleased with some of the things that we're bringing in here. We've then got one from Carl Sykes, a good question here. If I change the option back to the list view, will it retain that setting for me to go back to the cards when I next log in? So that's on the meeting screen. Does it remember what you're...
At present, I don't think it does. I think it will always, each time you log in, it will default to the card view, and you'll change it to the list view. But, a very good point. If that is, something that's important to you, I think that's certainly something we will look at, saving your preferences. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Matt Hope has said, hi, will the new MPS question type appear on the PowerPoint plugin? So I think the first thing to point out is it's not an MPS question type. That was just the example that Matt actually gave when he was building that question. It's we're calling it a numeric value question, where you can have a huge range in there. Matt just chose the range to be from 0 to 10 for that question, and you'll see some of the other examples he gave were larger ranges. But will it appear on the PowerPoint?
It will, but not when we release this. I just a quick note on that. I think we had Carl also asking when is this going live? It's going live on the 19th of June, which is next Wednesday. But just to clarify on that, for the time being, there will be a slight bit of disparity with the PowerPoint add-in. We are working on bringing the numeric question into the PowerPoint add-in, and we're hoping to have that available around sort of September, October time. But for the time being, it's just a dashboard feature, but it will, of course, be coming to the PowerPoint add-in as well.
Great. Adam said he's loving the filter with the labels and filtering, so that's great to see as well. DX has said, is there a recycle bin for deleted meetings?
There isn't. So at present, when you do delete a meeting, you do get prompted with a warning. And I think the warning also tells you, reminds you, make sure you've saved any data downloaded before you do delete this, because it is irreversible. But again, a great point. I'm not sure whether or not that's a request to ask for a recycle bin, but a very good point, and I think certainly something we should consider and look at. So Simon has put here, new features look really good, like the numeric question option, which is great, but then can we hope to see the ability to add images to poll questions soon? Great question, this one. Yeah, and well, as Dermot will know as well as I, this is something we have been discussing quite recently here. We are looking, we are looking at ways of improving our polling and, bringing imagery into questions just to make it a little bit more engaging and fun or appealing. We are looking at that, and it is something that is on our roadmap to address. And, a couple of things around that. I think bringing in an image as a question to vote on, or maybe bringing in images as options for your question. So that is something that is under discussion here. A couple more people saying good stuff is, Graham's asked, when will the updated Mac add-in be available? Can't give you specific dates on that at the moment. It is something like with the presentation view, we're looking at evolving that, and the Mac add-in will incorporate parts of that presentation view. We can't give any specifics on when that will be available, but as soon as we can. We do know how important it is, particularly to the education market, using that. So we do want to do that as soon as we can. Great stuff.
Andria has asked, does the numeric question type support fractions and or mathematical symbols?
It does not. So obviously we showed there decimals as an input method. We don't support fractions in it. And so it was the other one, mathematical symbols. That is something that we have recently been discussing, I believe, when we've talked about it before. And this will probably be more familiar to you as well, but the supporting the latex input, which is that essentially mathematical symbols and characters to actually create your questions with. So we are looking at bringing that in. Whether or not it will actually support fractional input, I'm not quite sure how that would work at the moment, but
something to bear in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a few more here, which is great. Somebody's actually put a request in here, so regarding enhancement to presentation mode, I would like the ability to display only one question at a time, because our presenters often ask to see the question on the screen, but not many questions.
Yeah, that's a great one to bring up. So obviously I've alluded a couple of times to enhancements to that presentation view, and this is specifically one of them that we are currently working on at the moment, the ability to highlight a question. So you're just seeing one question and potentially cycle through one question at a time rather than seeing a full list. That is definitely something that we are currently working on, and will hopefully come very soon in an update for the presentation view.
Sure. Carl has, I don't know where he heard this, but he heard a mention of a possible competitive question element on the horizon. Is that still being considered?
It is still being considered. Obviously we discussed here the ability, obviously with the numeric question of setting a correct answer. We have the ability to set correct answer in our multi-choice questions as well. That's something we're looking at expanding upon. And I'm guessing, the competitive element, probably, I guess you're talking quizzes or maybe, a scoreboard or something like that. That is something we are still considering and looking at. We're just kind of in the process of laying the foundations with the correct answer scoring, and that will ultimately evolve into, more on the competitive side, as you put it.
Yeah. There's a great question from Siobhan here. Can you set tags at a master level or only at an account one?
So the tags that you set, I believe when you do set these tags or labels, they're at the slightly confused about the terminology there, master level or account level. They're at what I would call the account level. So actually, at present, all users within that account, if you've got multiple users in your account, will be able to see tags of other people. They won't necessarily be able to see those meetings of other people if they don't have access to see them. But it is the labels are sort of shared throughout the account.
Okay, hopefully that answers the question. I've just got to fire down a couple here. So. Can we get rid of the feature that predicts how many answers to fill in? I think this is related to the correct answer for multi-choice questions. That again, something we have had feedback on and had discussed. I think when we first developed that feature for the multi-choice question, it was seen as trying to make it, I wouldn't say foolproof, but trying to simplify it. Now we have had feedback that people want to be able to be a little bit more versatile with that question type. So just to explain to people that don't necessarily know, we kind of jumped into a response there, but when if you've got a multi-choice question and you turn on the correct answer functionality, if you select 3 answers to be correct, it forces you to allow people to select 3 options. And that's it. So you might want to change that variable. So that's what we were talking about. I think it's something that the guys are working on, making it a bit more intuitive there. Is it possible to set correct answers and score free-form responses or just MCQs?
So at present, we don't have correct answers. So I'm guessing from the free-form responses, we're really talking about textual-based questions here. We don't have a correct answer on that at the moment. It is something we've kind of considered and thought about. I mean, there's a lot more sort of permutations to think about there, and like we've introduced this margin of error for the numeric question, how could we potentially do something on a text-based one if people get slightly wrong misspelling or something like that. But it is something we have thought about and continue to investigate.
Cool. There's a comment here from Adam regarding the label stuff, and I think there's something we'd like to pick up with Adam, perhaps on a different channel after this, with regards to some ideas around that. Lisa's asked, is there any news on when individual credentials will be available? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what that means. Who's that? Sorry, Lisa. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but I think, by all means, we'd like to investigate that after this meeting, just to get a bit of clarification what that question is related to.
Sure, and Lisa, we'll get in touch to discuss that one. Emma Lee Davidson has said, which SSOs, LDAP or Office 365? There is a list. Can you come up with the exhaustive list?
Yeah, so our SSO is it's SAML based. So essentially anything that uses SAML, we've already been doing some testing, setting it up with a few of our larger customers at the moment. And I know, there's various things involved in that. We've done things for Azure AD, Microsoft ADFS. I think one of the bigger ones we're doing at the moment is Ping Federate or Ping Identity. So we're building up a list of the ones that we're working with, but essentially, if it's SAML based, it will work for SSO.
Brilliant, thanks. Carl's question is kind of fired up on the likes here. He says, sure it's obvious, but can you explain with the share to another device option, a scenario when you might want to share to a machine but not give any rights to control polls, etc.? I think I can probably answer that one, give Matt a bit of a rest. For instance, in let's say meetings and events or conferencing environment where perhaps you've got a third-party company who are providing AV, and they are providing the laptops perhaps that you want to display your Q&A board or your polls from, but actually, you just want to make sure that you're only giving them that ability rather than the ability to actually, open, close, edit any of your polls. So it's a kind of a bit of a security feature, but also a foolproof thing. Also, we've seen environments where people want to have the Q&A boards up on monitors around a venue, perhaps.
Or an iPad. We've seen in the past people want to just put it on an iPad and share it around, but you don't want to give that person the ability to, change the meeting by opening and closing polls.
Well, exactly, yes. If you're scrolling down through the Q&A, you don't want to mess it up. So let me just file down for a couple more of these in case there's anyone's. The date I think we've got. I think we've answered all of the questions, Matt. There's a good few of them there. So, thanks very much for all those questions. We'll leave this Q&A board open for a little while in case you have any other questions. You fire them in and we'll get back to you directly or onto the board. We've also started a survey in the app as well, so please, there's only a couple of questions in there that we really appreciate if you could take the time to respond to them. I think it's just 3 very simple questions in there, and it's really valuable for us to get that feedback. So I think without further ado, just to reiterate, this release goes live on Wednesday the 19th of June, so it isn't available just yet, but hopefully by the time anybody's watching this recording, it will be live. And as with everything to do with Vevox, please send us your feedback on it when you've had a chance to have a play with the new features and with the new dashboard interface. We really want to hear from you. So you can email us at hello@vevox.com. And we shall certainly get in touch to talk about it. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.